Sometimes the announcements come out of left field and sometimes they're more expected. This is one of the times where I think this is kind of expected, and I think that also PlayStation fans are going to be extremely satisfied with this. We know that the market is moving in an incredibly different direction than it was even 5 years ago. Now we're seeing consolidation at breakneck pace. Both Microsoft and Sony, as well as other companies, clearly indicated by the other day Embracer Group buying up the the actual Western version of Square Enix. I think that surprised a lot of people. And I think one of the reasons why it surprised a lot of people was because the sheer number of money spent, right? If you think about it, like the money spent for that really wasn't that impressive. To me anyway. I feel like, these things keep happening to where Microsoft and Sony are spending all this money on these companies. And, I felt like what Embracer Group did was possibly jumped on Square Enix's Western developers and IP at a time when Microsoft was busy and have their hands tied with the Activision deal, and Sony is busy and kind of have their hands tied with the Bungie deal. But according to a new leak, Sony is either gearing up or have geared up, and that whole Embracer Group buyout was just something to sort of maybe minimize their attempt to actually buy them themselves. That's going to be an interesting thing. So yeah, anyway, according to this, Sony's big rumored acquisition was Square Enix. Consolidation in the game industry is at an all-time high, obviously with deals like Microsoft trying to acquire Activision Blizzard, Sony Bungie, Take-Two grabbing Zynga, and most recently Embracer Group acquiring all of Square Enix's internal Western divisions, including Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal. The wave of consolidation is far from over. According to those same corporations, in early April, following the announcement of PlayStation Plus's revamp, Sony Interactive Entertainment President CEO Jim Ryan confirmed that the company has plans to acquire more game development studios. This is what he said. The critical success and the commercial success of the first-party games that we've been making has given us permission to invest heavily into content creation. We're growing our studios organically, and we're growing through acquisition. We acquired 5 studios during the course of 2021. We're in discussions with Bungie, and we have even more plans. So it's pretty obvious that Sony has a lot of things planned and a lot of things up their sleeve. Now, to further kind of illustrate what's going on here, the same week we also heard from journalists Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller that Sony might have been preparing for a big acquisition, rather than a smaller one like those of Jade Raymond's Haven Studios or Nexus. Now, following yesterday's news of Square Enix selling off its internal Western studios, Jeff Grubb has now come forward to reveal that the rumored big acquisition was precisely about Sony acquiring Square Enix. Of course, he also stressed that such rumors are always tenuous at best due to the risky nature of revealing these massive deals beforehand. Additionally, there's always a chance that deals falling through at the last minute. It's interesting because he says, I've said this 1,000 times, but there's always someone who's hearing it for the first time. We never really hear enough to report on acquisitions with any certainty. Sony acquiring Square was a big rumor, but I cannot confirm that, and I continue to not know. And pretty much, basically, when asked at it, it's impossible to look at Square Enix dumping some fairly valuable IP outside of the context of the current market. This does leave Square Enix far more streamlined for potential acquisition. No idea if that happens, but it's more likely today than yesterday. And apparently Jeff Grubb seems to think that Square Enix might be sold off. So some people might question and go, so what's the deal here? Why would they sell off some of their most outstanding IP? Just Cause, obviously, with Tomb Raider, Deus Ex. There's a lot of quality content there that they're sort of missing out on. And, I feel like, to me anyway, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially since, to be honest with you, the PlayStation is well known for stuff like Tomb Raider and things like that. So that's something that I feel like is definitely sort of a weird move there. So, we'll kind of see what happens and how this works out. A leaner Square Enix might be more appealing to Sony if it really already planned to acquire it. The Japanese company already regularly invests in time exclusive deals with PlayStation, as such as those for Final Fantasy VII Remake and for Spoken, so it would make sense to seal those forever. Then again, even if Sony ends up acquiring Square Enix, it doesn't mean it would make all of the games exclusive to PlayStation platform, as Sony is investing more in the PC market for one thing, and they've also agreed to keep present and future Bungie games multi-platform. Today, Square Enix is trading at plus 2%. Its market cap of $4.8 billion, which is more than manageable for Sony's remaining $10 billion cash reserve for acquisitions. It would be a U-turn of sorts for Sony anyways, as the company once owned an 18.6% stake in Square Enix before slowly selling all the shares off by April 2014. So a lot of people might question, well, why would they dump that? And I think this is the problem that we're going to start seeing. People don't really understand how these acquisitions really work. We're all like wannabe analysts and lawyers and all this stuff, and never more so than when Microsoft is trying to buy Activision, because so many people on the PlayStation side don't want to see that go through, and obviously people on the Xbox side do want to see it go through. So they're, obviously anytime something negative comes up or a possibility that it might not go through, you see that tweeted out like a million times. Now, when it comes to Sony is the number one gaming company. Number one, right? They just are. They're number one. They would have a huge problem maybe buying the entirety of, Square Enix and the whole publisher side of it and everything, if they had all those other studios as well. That could have been a real hang-up for them. And so just buying the Japanese side of things, I'm not sure how the regulations have to go or whatever. I'm sure it still has to pass some kind of regulations here too, but you don't have to maybe worry about as much of that going through like in Japan and things like that. So yeah, it's a very interesting sort of situation that we find ourselves in, and Sony themselves have plenty of money to go out there and make this thing a legal and pretty quick, and will they buy them? I don't know, but a lot of people seem to have been in on that rumor that they were going to be, picking up a studio. You guys probably remember a while ago, a few weeks ago or whatever, everybody was talking about it. Oh, it's going to be a big week, and then nothing happened. So maybe it's still going to go through. Maybe it hasn't gone through, and maybe something failed. Look, we never know with these things. That's why it's constantly sort of a moving target. I would definitely think that Sony's going to continue to try and buy studios, but it might have been tougher for them to actually pick up a studio that has, a Western front as well. I think probably Sony's more interested in like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 14 is huge still, the online game. So, I feel like they could probably, that's a big games as a service thing. Sony is definitely getting into the whole games as a service aspect of things, and it doesn't look like that's going to slow down anytime soon. Even with like Naughty Dog seems more intent now than ever to be making, a multiplayer game. It seems like they're making the Factions game, as well as a Last of Us remake, which again, I don't want to hate, because I really like The Last of Us 2. I think that game is amazing. But when it comes down to things, I don't think, I honestly don't feel making The Last of Us remake, which, it was already remastered at one point. So I don't feel like that was a huge thing that should happen, to be completely frank. But I still feel like, listen, they're able to do whatever they want to do. I would have rather a new IP or a Last of Us 3, but you can't always get what you want. So we'll see how it works out at the end of the day. With that being said, please let me know what you guys think. I'm the Crap Gamer, and of course this is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Please like the video. It helps it to be seen, and it helps the channel to grow. Do you guys want to see Sony pick up Square Enix, or what's left of them? Do you think they're in a much better position to do so right now? Let me know. Rack 'em up. Fact 'em up. Crap Gamer 'em up. Crap Gamer out.